The art of war. In Deadlock. No matter what past experience someone has had from any other games, it seems like Deadlock is the only game I've seen where none of it transfers over. No! Whether you've played MOBAs, hero shooters, tac shooters, I don't know, Adventure Time Battle Party, I've never seen someone who is just a natural talent when it comes to playing Deadlock. This is a guide on fighting in both 1v1, 2v2, and team battles in Deadlock. This is going to be focused on players who might not be as experienced. To put it in simpler terms, people who are about like ritualist or lower. But with all these rank inflations, I know some of you phantom frauds are running around, so you sit down and watch this too. With all that out of the way, I'd like to introduce you to our first major topic of the art of war in Deadlock. Trading is the foundation of all fights in Deadlock. Oftentimes in any game, trading is the foundation of it. Way back in the fresh release days of Deadlock, I queued up my first game ever and I chose my favorite hero to play, Pocket. I was matched up in the good old purple lane, 1v1ing a Bebop. This one matchup interaction right here taught me so much about fighting in this game that I needed to know in just a single second.
Oh my god, the diff.
This one interaction right here, Bebop Bomb traded by Pocket Suitcase, set the entire tone for how I took fights for the rest of the time that I've played this game. From then until now, every time I learned a character's moveset, I looked for ways to avoid it. I looked for ways not only to take no damage, but to give them damage in return. This interaction can go for any characters. It's not just Pocket versus Bebop. Understanding trades is something that I could talk about for hours, but no one wants to watch a movie about Pocket Suitcases besides me. The point of which I'm expanding on here is that there's technically a direct advantage for the first person who makes a move or the second person who makes a move depending on the matchup. In this case, Bebop versus Pocket Bombs, I get the advantage of using my Suitcase second, meaning I don't take any damage, or I can turn the tides and now Bebop is the only one who takes damage. But if we did this backwards where I use Suitcase first, I might hit him, but now Bebop bombs are going to hit me for a lot more than I hit him. And remember, trades go left, right, and center in Deadlock. 7 uses stun, Mina uses bats. Lash uses slam, Mo uses scorn, Abrams uses punch, I use parry. The concept is simple enough, but what about the characters who don't care about trading? These are usually the characters that are assassin or just M1 carries. Depending on the point in the match or the players that are being targeted, oftentimes a lot of characters just don't care about trading but rather doing 100% sustained damage over time. He doesn't need to trade much when she can just shoot you 1,000 times. Sometimes saving knife to cancel can be useful, but it's not something that they're always worried about. It's not part of her core game plan. The same way it's not a part of Victor's core game plan to trade ping battery. He's just gonna run at you and throw it whenever he has it off cooldown. In fact, Victor doesn't even want to trade anything. He just wants you to hit him so that way he gets more value out of Infuser. That doesn't mean trades aren't still important. They only get more important when you go from 1v1s to 2v2s. Let's see, we got Lash, Venator, Drifter, Calico. Now a big issue for Lash is when he's trying to line up a good ult, Calico could easily just use her ult and get the iframes to avoid it. Another big issue for Venator is if he uses his ult, Drifter can blind him and deny him any chance of actually getting his kill confirms. But when you look at the bigger picture, it's not just about trading ults. It's going to be about trading all utility in one way or another. Finding your pocket of time to go ahead and dump everything onto an enemy and insta-kill them, or do you use one tool to prevent another tool from getting value? All this being said, the concept only gets more ridiculous when we take a look into a team fight. It's important to remember that the teams who win team fights are usually the team that manage to get more total value out of all of their ultimates. This is when trades become way less easy to manage, but a lot more important. If an Abrams knows how much value 7 can get out of his ult during a team fight, then he might save his slam just to slap this guy out of the sky if he's cracked enough at the game. The Kelvin might go ahead and dome that 7 who just got smacked out of the sky by Abrams, and now Abrams is trapped in there and it's a 2v1 and he's losing. But Paige, seeing this, knowing that her ult can go through walls, might just throw an ult at Abrams, stun both the enemies, give him full HP, and now he's possibly winning that fight. Meanwhile, all this is going on, you have Rem trying to land the biggest sleep he can. Holiday's probably trying to get her lasso to cancel whatever Rem is doing. And to any new player's POV, this just looks like absolute unmanageable chaos. So how do we manage all this chaos happening in teamfights? It's simpler than you think. The answer? Know your job. Everybody's ult is used for something. Some people just doing as much area damage as possible, some people area denial. Some people gotta keep their teammates up, and some people just disrupt other people from using their abilities. Knowing what your job is just simply depends on your hero. Knowing what the true purpose of your ult is, and yes, the way you control the chaos to the best of your ability, and the point I'm driving so hard this entire time, is that your job and value tied to it is constantly changing depending on the matchup, the length of the game, or the position of the fight. For example, Lash's ult takes a whole different purpose when you bring it down to mid-boss fight. Same goes for Rem and same goes for Dynamo. But when Paradox is simply just trying to get a pick before an actual fight starts, then her ult is used to swap somebody into the rest of her team. But during an actual team fight, it's much harder to pull that off because she doesn't want to swap herself into the enemy team as well. And depending on the game state, sometimes this is more necessary than trades. You can simply get one big ult and dump everything into a huge combo. Combos. These are the cornerstone of team fights. Landing a proper combo can become an instant win for your team. Has a Lash ever grabbed 4 of your players, thrown them out of pocket, and now 4 of you are afflicted? Yeah, combos are busted. This is a lot easier to do if you're queued with players, but it's really not hard to do in solo queue. I've done it plenty of times myself. Hey, Mo, I'm gonna Paradox ult this guy. When I'm finished swapping him, can you grab him? And now somebody's getting forced into the clutches of Masad and Critler and insta-kill that person. But this also takes a very different role when it comes to a team fight. You don't exactly want to throw 50 ults at one guy during a team fight, because then you're going to be underfunded for the rest of the fight. But after all, it's all subjective to the moment. It might be worth doing the same combo in a 2v2, but not worth the same combo in a 6v6. You don't want to use 2 individual ults like Mo and Krill and Paradox to kill one guy, but you do want to use 2 team ults to kill multiple players in a 6v6 like Dynamo ult or Lash ult. Combos are really simple, but they take communication, and without communication you won't have proper execution. And if you have clear-cut kills, sometimes it's worth even spending 3 or 4 ults all at once, just that way you can wipe out half the team instantly. Combos, trades, both of these are easy concepts to master. The only thing you need to know to properly get trades or combos off is the info ahead of time of what you do have and what the enemy team doesn't have. Hey, can anybody guess what I'm going to talk about next? Anybody? Information is all over Deadlock. It's really easy to figure out things you don't know. Honestly, it's probably more expansive than trades to talk about information, so I'll boil it down to 5 simple concepts. 1. Look at the minimap. 2. Look at the minimap. 3. If you haven't tried looking at the minimap, you should look at the minimap. Number 4. Look at the minimap. And number 5. Just look at the top of your screen. Oh yeah, and I guess you can ask your teammates about things. Be aware of your surroundings. Do not stare at the minimap during a team fight. Check in whenever you have downtime, such as healing or farming. Deadlock is kind of a game about math. Very small, easy amounts of math. If your team calls that there's 3 pushing green, that means yellow is likely to possibly be open or just straight up be weaker. If you guys have a kill and the enemy team is still pushing green, then that means one lane is probably open, and worst comes to worst, it's only 1 player on each side of the map, so your team can split pressure, or you can choose to defend. Either way, you have an advantage, and you know that because you simply did the simple amount of math to let you know that the other 2 lanes had to be somewhat open. And use the minimap to find out which place is the least populated, or if any of your teammates have line of sight of other players, then you know where it's safe to farm, where it's not safe to farm. If you see a potential gank and you see your teammate is also in the area, then you could say, hey Drifter, this guy's out of position. We should run over and get you some free stacks. And his bloodthirsty yall will come running at the speed of light to go get that kill. And also, you can know if a gank is worth it at all or not, especially in a 1v1 gank, because if you don't see anybody else on the map, that means you don't know where anybody else is, and that potential gank that you thought was a 1v1 is probably going to turn into a 6v1, and then all of a sudden your lane is getting rolled, and then your teammates are mad at you for throwing. But if you just use the minimap and say, hey, I don't know where anybody actually is, maybe this isn't a good idea, then you could easily avoid that entire mess, especially if you don't have teammates nearby. And you can tell if a fight is smart based off the info on the top of your screen and the minimap together. For example, if you know where the strongest player on the map is, you'd probably avoid starting a fight with him and start the fight with the weakest. If you could look at the top of the screen and see that you have more souls, more players, or more ults, any one of these advantages could just easily lead you to a fight win. Picking good and bad fights is always told to you in Deadlock by just simply looking at the UI on the screen. Either the minimap or the top thingies or whatever you want to look at, the game is constantly feeding you information. You can always talk to your teammates. Deadlock is a game about momentum and pushing your strengths. It's super easy to tell you can snowball when you just pay attention to the info that the game is constantly feeding you.